This is a brief tutorial video for how to use the Thompson River Access and Transportation app. So let's start first by looking over the overall interface. When you first open up the Shiny app, this is the zoom level that it will show, and all these black lines represent the entire road network for the Thompson River watershed. And on the center you have your base map with all the road network, and the menu is over on the left. If you click this little hamburger icon, it'll hide the menu in case you need to expand the map to full screen. And then you have a couple options over here where you can adjust the road network by updating speed limits on segments or removing segments of road. And you can clear any temporary work that you've done by hitting the Reset Network button. And then down here is where you can perform some path analysis to find the shortest path between 2 points, and any alternate routes that also get you between those 2 points. And then down at the bottom, well, it shows the shortest path cost, and this is represented as hours. So 1.09 hours is currently shown. And then there's an about screen that'll provide a little bit of background and some contact info, as well as a link to this video. And then on the base map, you have a plus and minus over on the left that allows you to zoom in and out, which you can also do with the scroll bar on your mouse. And in this little box here, it remains blank until you select a road segment, and then it will give you the segment ID of the road, and if it has a name, it'll give you the name. If it doesn't, it'll say not available or NA. So if I click on that one, there's ACM Road, lists the name. It'll give the speed limit and also the distance or length of that segment. Then the legend over here in top right shows the different colors of the segments based on their condition. So all roads will show up as black, but then when you run a path analysis, the shortest path will show up as red, and your start and ending segments will show up as green. And then if you have the alternative route checkbox clicked, the alternative paths will show up as blue. And then if you were to remove a segment, it would change from black to this gray color. And then in the background for the base map, it'll default to the USGS topo, but you can also view the imagery. So if we zoom in here, when it first opens up, there's a couple default values over here in the menu, and it'll always start off, at least for now, started off with this first path analysis showing from road segment 52 to 17. And again, based on our legend here, we see that that path is going to show up as red, and if we zoom into the start and stop here, there's our green segment. And if you hover over a segment, it'll have a little pop-up that shows the segment number, and if you click on it, it'll turn yellow, and again, it updates this little info box up here. So we see that that was segment 52, which is our from road. And if we zoom out and just go over to the end, you see there's the end road, and it's green, saying that that is part of our start and end. And of course it's 17, which is already listed here in the field. Now if we just really quickly, as an example of the alternative paths, or of using the adjust network tools, let's take this little segment here and say we want to remove it. We would highlight it and it'll turn yellow, and then by clicking remove road, that's saying essentially that that road no longer exists in the model, and so it's going to find the new shortest patch or path, which is just south of it right here. So you saw that the red jumped from the segment up above to down below because no one can drive on that segment anymore. And then for other examples, let's do this zoomed in spot here. We're down on the Thompson River. We have a couple bridges here that cross the river and a portion of the dual road segment or dual road system going up the Thompson River drainage. So I've already put in the from road and to road here to get a shortest path already listed. You see those in green. Here we have road 543, which I have in the from road, and line 4021, which is in the to road. And our past cost for that, shortest path cost here is 0.1. So 0.1 hours to get from right here to right here. And that time is going to be based on the speed limit and the distance of all those segments put together. And I also have this show alternate routes button checked. So those, again, looking at our legend, are going to show up as blue. And there's one right here. And it's pretty intuitive in this example because it's essentially saying rather than coming up here and going over, your alternative path would come down here. And because they're a similar length and similar speed limit, the alternative path cost is similar to the shortest path cost. And there is a little bit of extra driving distance here, but what's affecting this, making this path be red versus the southern path be blue as an alternate, is because this speed limit is 35 and then the alternate is 25. So it makes that trade-off knowing that the increased speed limit and this upper stretch, even though it's a slightly longer distance, will still get you there faster. So these numbers are rounded, so in the algorithm in the background, it's saying you should go on the red line for the shortest path. But we can use this adjust network tool over here to play some scenarios. So we know that this top one is 35 miles per hour and the southern one is 25. So if I were to select it like I did here, it turns yellow. I see that it is indeed 35, but let's update the speed limit to 15 and watch the red and blue lines here. So I'll update speed limit. Now the new shortest path jumps to what was previously the alternate path because we reduced the speed limit. So let's reset the network there and get our alternate path back on. We can do the exact same thing by removing a road entirely, and this would be to simulate either something like a road decommission or maybe a temporary detour where you want to see what might happen to travel times and costs if one segment of road couldn't be used. If we remove it, then it does the same thing as adjusting the speed limit in this case. Because this one is no longer accessible, we can take this alternate route down here, which now becomes the shortest path because the other shortest path is no longer available. And so you'll see here too that when you check and uncheck the alternate routes, the way this is set up currently is that it will, there's potentially for a lot of these segments a very large number of alternate paths. And so it's going to go through and select a random one that's within some kind of limit, so you're not driving all the way around the watershed. And so if I uncheck it and check it, you see a new alternate path is drawn down here, and its cost is 0.11. If I uncheck it and check it, it comes back up here, and its path cost is 0.17. So to see multiple paths, you can check and uncheck down here, and those will turn blue. So that's the basics of how this transportation analysis app currently works. If you've played around with things, you can hit reset network, and that will bring all of the default values back into the attribute table of the road networks. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at us using the email provided here or the Lower Clark Fork Watershed Group.